And, again, the economic collapse, I mean, maybe their plan is to enslave people with it, but at the same time, those who are righteous and more connected with God are going to move the other direction and completely see, okay, it's just getting way too uncomfortable for me. Either I'm going to completely sell out to the devil, or I'm going to have to make a jump the other direction and, get humble, get local, into a local community, and and so I just see that whole thing, how, Allah just takes the devil's plan and rolls it all up and makes it part of His. So I thought that was an interesting prediction, given all the, just the Muslim Village, and I keep hearing it other places, not just here. I keep hearing people talking about eco villages, and there's this guy even on the internet, Deke Jackson, and he does these sort of funny these funny skits on YouTube. And he started a landless peasant party, landocracy.org. He said, this is for all the landless peasants, which all of us are, here in the UK, because only 6,000 people own the land. And he said, under our party, we will redistribute all the land back out to all the people. And, and I just thought, wow, everybody's starting to talk about it. We're realizing we all need to get a stake back out on the land and take back this earth, as I see it. So.
One of the very fascinating things that's happening is that the young people are the ones who are more attracted to the Muslim Village. The young ones. Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
And there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, one of the signs of the last days, that one man would have to maintain 50 women, indicating that there's going to be a dramatic collapse in the birth of baby boys. And in the retreat we learned from a brother, a medical doctor who came from Canada, that the radiation which comes from cellular phones, for example, or is it the electromagnetic waves or so on, have a damaging impact upon the male sperm production, so that male chromosomes are damaged, and the default chromosome is a female. And so we're going to have less and less baby boys being born. So in the Muslim village, you're not going to be allowed to use any cellular phones.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your wireless...
So maybe I should hang up right now.
I've never had one. I refuse to have one.
And
cellular phone?
Yep.
The Muslim village will not decline, because the bees will be able to navigate their way back to the hive.
Oh.
They can't do that today because of all that's happening around them with the electromagnetic waves from cellular phones and so on. Another aspect of the Muslim village is that any woman who comes to the village and says, I want a husband, I want to be married, someone will have to marry her. And so there will be no woman in the village who wants a husband but cannot get a husband. Someone will have to marry her.
I was wondering about that. Because I was thinking you could see one single woman could come in and kind of disrupt things, And,
oh yeah, absolutely. That would cause some issues.
And so the norm of marriage in Western civilization of one man, one wife, which is a unique norm. It never existed before in human history, and it will not exist after Western civilization collapses, which is going to happen tomorrow. Mm-hmm. That norm will not exist in the Muslim village. So long as a man has the means to be able to maintain and has some reasonable insurance that he can treat his wives with equity and justice, it will be obligatory on him. He'll have an obligation to marry, so that there will be no woman in the village who want a husband who cannot get a husband. Mm. But of course, the village will ensure that every woman in the village is your sister, and every child in the village is your daughter and your son. So we'll be watching to see how you treat your wives and how you treat your children.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what that gets into, the thought of justice. How do you set up a justice system in such a village?
Hello?
Like a justice system or sort of a legal system? Would you have a system in place for such things?
Well, it'll have to be something at a micro level because we do not have the power to be able to stand up to the macro legal system. So we have our informal legal system within the village. You have a qadi, and the people will come to the qadi with their legal dispute, and he will, to the extent that all parties to a dispute are prepared to accept the judgment given by a qadi, to that extent he can function. But he has no coercive authority, and he cannot enforce punishment other than those that are willingly accepted by all those who come to him.
Sheikh Imran, go back to yeah, go on.
No, that was you. It's just feedback, I think.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Anyway, Sheikh Imran, to go back to an idea you brought earlier, which wasn't fully explored, and I think it sounds quite interesting. You were discussing the idea that you expect that in the years leading up to 2012, that Israel will show its true face, or it will remove the cover from above it. Do you think this is why there's all this type of, talk about the year of 2012? Do you think people are being prepared for such an event that's not necessarily cosmological like they try to portray, but perhaps something more political?
I do not write out the possibility that there can be events taking place in 2012 which have some cosmic link to them. I don't write out that possibility. I do not negate that possibility. It is possible that something is going to happen. But I am suggesting that all of this explosion of propaganda connected with 2012 is linked to what I consider to, what I suspect to be, an opportunity being created to further a political agenda. Which political agenda would want to exploit 2012? I consider it to be, without doubt, Israel's agenda of seeking to become the ruling state in the world. Now, my book, Jerusalem and the Quran, was published, 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. And it is instructive of the limitations of Islamic scholarship today at a methodological level, that after 8 years, Islamic scholarship still not come to grips with that book, cannot refute the book at a scholarly level, and yet would not accept the book, as though they're standing in a state of limbo. They don't know how to deal with the book. It's a problem of methodology, how to deal with a new methodology which seeks to get to the divine guidance in the Quran by bringing together new meanings to the verses of the Quran. If Israel is going to have to move to become the ruling state in the world, we have to observe very carefully events which are unfolding. And since 9/11, the evidence is absolutely clear that we are moving now rapidly towards that moment in time when Israel will seek to take over from the United States. The US dollar, it has to collapse. The monetary system has to collapse. It's already collapsing. The evidence is as plain as daylight. And so I cannot see any other big political and military event coming up that could exploit 2012 more than an effort by Israel to expand its territory, to encompass the biblical frontiers of the Holy Land, those false biblical frontiers. But before Israel can do that, they will have to destroy Pakistan's nuclear plans. So I'm expecting the attack on Pakistan before 2012, so that by 2012 Israel will be ready to launch a big war.
Attack on Pakistan, and we're seeing the seeds of that occurring today. What's been happening in Pakistan over the past few months or so has been confusing to many people because they're not quite sure what to believe anymore, especially people who have started to understand that there's a lot of deception and falseness in what we read and see. What is your view on what's going on in Pakistan right now?
I'm very glad that you have raised the subject because it gives me an opportunity to respond. I don't know whether these words will reach the Pakistani people. I hope they will. What is happening in Pakistan is that an effort is now being made to bring to the forefront of the Pakistani Muslim consciousness alleged ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ prophesying an end-time conquest of India. Not the conquest of India that took place 1,000 years ago, but an end-time, a conquest of India which will be contemporaneous with the return of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, the Prophet Jesus alayhi